Warning, F-bombs are not going to be dropped, which is much, much worse. All right, there's a huge, ridiculous debate. Open the economy, quarantine forever. I'd really love to slap the shit out of both sides. I said no F-bombs. I didn't say anything about anything else. Because I'm actually mad. All right, you quarantine forever, people. How do I explain this to you? You're stupid. All right? You cannot quarantine forever. You can't even really quarantine for much more than a month or so at a time. It's actually worse than that. See, every minute that you have quarantine, diabetics, they're running lower and lower on insulin. Stores are running lower and lower on bread. Everybody's running lower and lower on everything. And you're making sure it stays that way. You don't care about saving lives any more than the other side does. The other side. You open the economy now types. You're so full of shit, your eyes are brown. If you don't know by now that unfettered and unchecked and unplanned reopening the economy is going to lead to a new spike, then you're lying to me. And I don't want to hear it. Just that simple. There's at least 3 case studies so far. Hokkaido Island, Italy, and Iran. That doesn't even count what happened in Wuhan back in December. That's just the 3 that happened afterwards. All right. Why does controls work? Because it slows the rate of the spread. It doesn't stop the spread for you quarantine forever people. It was never meant to do that. And I don't even know where this idea is coming from. Why does controls work? Because it slows the rate of the spread. Because it will spread. Even with the controls, it will spread, but it won't spread as fast. And that's the whole point for you. Unlock the economy, open the economy now, crew. Slow it down so that the healthcare system can keep up. If we have a spike of 70,000 people in 1 month, we will overwhelm the system. What happens then is that those 70,000 people, none of them will get treated. Those 70,000 people will turn into 1 million people in a week. Slowing the spread, social distancing, controls, whatever you want to call it, I don't care. I really don't give a shit. Was meant to keep that number down lower so the healthcare system could keep up. But not so low that it would damage the economy. And by the way, every person who dies as a result, that damages the economy. Every person who gets sick, that also damages the economy. You keep ignoring that. And that's what's really pissing me off. You ignore the fact that the virus itself damages the economy because you want it now. Well, to both of you, I'm telling you, Veronica has left the building. Now, for those of you that don't know, because you're probably under 40, Veronica is a reference to the movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's the girl who wanted the golden eggs. I don't care how, I want it now. And how did that work out for her? And her dad. And actually the entire tour guide. The entire tour, rather. Just saying. There are some businesses that should actually never have been closed to begin with. And I really can't think of any off the top of my head. I kind of really do want to say hairdressers and barbers and a few of the other very intense hygiene related industries. I am referring only to those industries that were closed early on. That's better. That was better. I really am referring to the early closures. Hospitals generally weren't closed. Um, Police departments, no police department was closed. They're doing sometimes time and a half every day, all day. 12 on, 12 off, and you ain't getting a day off. Don't even bother asking. It's mostly the smaller departments. Those were not closed at all. Then there were some that were kept open, even though they weren't that intense. We're talking about the supermarkets, auto repair shops, some restaurants, the takeout only restaurants were allowed to stay open. And that's a good thing. Restaurants should have been left open as takeout only for the first 2 weeks. And you know what? For the first 2 weeks, I'll give you pretty much anything. All right? This was the panic mode. Just shut everything down and we'll go back and figure out what we need to reopen in a couple of days. But you know what? A couple of weeks was a few weeks ago. You had a couple of weeks to figure it out and you didn't. You didn't try, and that's the problem. And that is actually leading to the reopen crowd just flat out overreacting. You people are ridiculous. You're acting like a 2-year-old who was told, no, you can't have candy. Well, okay, now I don't want candy. I don't want one piece, I want them all. Check yourself because you've wrecked yourself. But you quarantine forever people. You have never been different. I have actually heard quarantine forever types saying we need to close the restaurants because that's a vector too. By the way, that's the word, vector. All right. Now there's some businesses that cannot be reopened for a while. Bars, nightclubs, beaches, water parks, and water amusements probably will not be able to open for a while. Because you can't do takeout as a bar as a takeout. It doesn't work that way. And you can't maintain social distancing at a nightclub. That's exactly the reason they don't exist. Once we've started getting some actual control and some actual herd immunity, because you keep talking about that, but you don't know the words you're using, then we can start reopening up those bars, those nightclubs, maybe even those water amusement parks. Those might have to be closed for a year. That is what it is. I'm sorry. I didn't create this thing. We all know who created it, but nobody wants to step on that dick. Except me, because I give a fuck. I'm going to die in a few years anyways. What the fuck do I care? F-bombs were dropped. If you don't start coming up with a plan, either a plan to quarantine forever, which isn't going to work, by the way, or a plan to open up now, which isn't going to work, but a real plan, maybe, talk to each other and start coming up with a real plan. The rest of us moderates, us centrists, are going to fucking tell you to go to hell. And we're going to start kicking you out of the way. Because I, for one, am sick of hearing it. And I'm seeing dozens of others who are just as sick of hearing this. Get back to reality or get the fuck out of our way. Till then, keep calm. Mandatory carry on.